state regime media known as Fox is collapsing on air as they try to justify Donald Trump's tariffs against the world that are crashing the American economy. Laura Ingraham on Fox wants everybody to know that America was never founded on free trade anyway. Here, play this clip.
America wasn't founded on free trade, contrary to what you've heard, even from some senators today. We were founded on the idea of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it's pretty hard to find happiness or even pursue happiness when you're working 2, maybe 3 jobs and still can't get ahead.
Next, you have Janine Pirro saying, you shouldn't care about your 401k. She says, I don't care about my 401k. It must be nice, Janine, considering you're a decamillionaire, but most people care about their retirement life savings and 401k. Play this clip.
And he's delivering. And you know what? I don't really care about my 401k today. You know what? Not that I can afford it. Not that it isn't important. Not that I'm not at a point in my life when I should be worried about my 401k, because I am. But this is what I believe. I believe in this man. And I believe that what we're seeing now with his bringing in $1 trillion in business and manufacturing and companies moving back to the United States.
I mean, can you believe that that's the messaging that they're putting out on Fox? They went from attacking former President Biden when the economy was growing because it wasn't growing fast enough to now when the economy is tanking and the markets had one of its worst days in American history. They're saying you should not care about your 401k. Awful, awful propaganda. Here, Laura Ingraham says, you know who's really to blame here? The people on Wall Street who are trying to make you feel upset right now and scare you into turning against Trump. Play this clip.
Forward to yesterday, Liberation Day. Who's happiest today about Trump's reciprocal tariffs? Well, obviously not Wall Street, not those who raked in big money offshoring jobs. In fact, they're busy trying to scare you into turning on Trump. The sky is falling. The sky is definitely falling.
Hey, Laura. Donald Trump is Wall Street. Wall Street helped elect Trump. Trump is the oligarch.
Your reaction to that market down, I think it's at its lows of the day, is down about 1,500 for what that is worth in the mix here. What are you talking about in the White House? Is there any panic about what's happening at this point? Or what is the general feeling about what people should know about this?
Sure. What people should know about this is that President Trump ran on this because he has a positive vision of a golden age of America where the jobs come back, the jobs that a formerly sensible Speaker Pelosi talked about just now.
That's what you're going with? That Donald Trump ran on crashing the markets? These people are psychotic, and I'm not trying to use hyperbolic language, psycho. I mean, how else do I describe what I'm watching here? Here, Kevin Hassett says, this is the art of the deal. This is genius. This is how you do it. Play this clip.
I want to show this tweet by hedge fund billionaire Bill Ackman, who used to support a lot of Democrats. But during the election, he has switched over, listened to what President Trump had to say and began to side with him. He says, sometimes the best strategy in a negotiation is convincing the other side that you're crazy. Do you think that's true here? And there's been a lot of discussion. There's going to be no negotiations at Howard Lutnick. He's standing firm on all of this. And then it feels certainly like there is some negotiation going on. Is there or isn't there?
There's nothing crazy about this policy. In fact, this is a policy that was tried and was effective in the United States for 150 years.
Oh, then you're in for a day of Orwellian doublespeak when you bring in Kellyanne Conway. Alternate facts. Here, Kellyanne Conway talks about what we need to think about tariffs. We shouldn't call them tariffs. What we should call them is old sanctions. Like, there's like North Carolina, South Carolina, right? There's tariffs and then there's actual old sanctions. So we're doing old sanctions, not tariffs. Play this clip.
So this will do that. And look, for everybody saying tariffs are a tax, I think you have to look at them more as the old sanctions. The president is trying to compel or incentivize transformative generational changes in behavior by companies, by categories, by countries, by collections of countries. EU, I'm looking at you. And I'm trying to put myself in the position of
someone who watches this Fox crap every day. I have to actually watch it to do these videos. So I guess I am putting myself in the position, unfortunately, to do these videos. But what I mean by that is of someone who sees that and goes, oh, old sanctions. Okay, this isn't tariffs. Old sanctions, tariffs, bad. Old sanctions, good. What are we talking about? What are we? It would be funny if they weren't crashing the freaking economy and destroying people's life savings. Then you have Larry Kudlow. Now, Larry Kudlow was one of Donald Trump's former top economic advisors, and he's wrong about everything. And here he's asked about something pretty simple, and he's just like, I'm not going to wade into it. Play this clip.
But there has to be a level playing field. We're not even close to fair trade. That's what this.
Wait, hold on a second. But I feel like there was a conversation
about.
You and I had not too long ago where you, while in favor of the tariffs, thought maybe they were going too big.
Well, I don't know that, and I'm not going to wade into that. That's an internal policy issue. I'm just saying I'm interested in the policy and the principles of the policy.
Copy.
And he is correct. And remember.
Oh man, then you have Brooke Rollins, Secretary of Agriculture. She's awful. Brooke Rollins. Here, she goes, but here's what you need to know. Trump's the greatest deal maker, and just shut up. Like, we're just going to leave it at that. She goes, you just got to trust him. He makes great deals, and be quiet. Play the clip.
So these additional reciprocal tariffs on China, on the European Union, on Japan, they're not taking effect until April 9th. Are you saying that you expect that you will see negotiations around this ahead of that taking effect? And perhaps we'll see a change in these tariffs?
I think that's right. I mean, this is always, listen, the president is the ultimate deal maker. He has been, cutting deals and making deals first for his companies, the Trump companies, and now for the American people.
Okay, Donald Trump has literally like bankrupted most of his businesses. Like, this guy is a fraud. He's a felon. He's a sexual abuser. He's a despicable human being. And just go through the list of all the things that Donald Trump bankrupted. But okay, sure, Brooke Rollins. He's a great deal.
On to higher consumer prices. High core tariffs increased costs on goods like electronics, appliances, and clothing. 2. Strained U.S.-China relations. Trade tensions escalated into a tariff war. 3. Hurt U.S. farmers. China retaliated with tariffs on soybeans and pork, slashing exports. 4. Federal bailout for farmers. Over $28 billion in aid was issued to offset losses. 5. Disrupted supply chains. Businesses faced delays and rising costs sourcing materials. 6. Lower business investment. Uncertainty caused companies to hold off on expansions. 7. Increased costs for manufacturers. U.S. firms paid more for steel, aluminum, and parts. 8. Mixed effects on jobs. Some sectors gained, e.g. steel, but many lost due to higher costs. 9. Minimal trade. Deficit impact. The overall trade deficit stayed high. 10. Global retaliation. Countries like the EU, Canada, and China hit U.S. exports with counter tariffs, which will be crash the U.S. economy within a month.
Filmmaker. So then Maria Bartiromo asks Brooke Rollins, are we now going to see egg prices move back to higher prices because of Trump? Play this clip.
You've had great progress in terms of the price of eggs, but I guess I'm just wondering, is that progress completely, going back to square one with the tariffs coming? I mean, are you expecting retaliation from these countries who are now facing a tariff that they didn't face, just a couple of weeks ago? Are we now going to see egg prices move back higher because of the tariffs?
Well, all to be determined. The president has said that we'll have a little bit of uncertainty in the coming weeks, perhaps a month or two. But, and that's, I mean, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, everything's going to be perfect and the prices are going to come down tomorrow, because this is an uncertain time. But that is the president's genius in all of this. He is the negotiating king. Yeah. And this is part of the negotiating process. And so ultimately, whether that's in a week, a month, a few months, that all Americans will feel the benefit of this effort that he's undertaken, which God bless him. He's one of the few that's bold enough to do it.
Here's the
Now, a real New York Times headline is that this is real. For Easter, people are now painting potatoes because they can't afford eggs. That is a headline in Trump America. Painting potatoes because they can't afford eggs. By the way, you could see Fox tried to refine its messaging as the day progressed, but earlier yesterday morning, this is when Maria Bartiromo saw what the market looked like at opening. Here's what she said. Play this clip.
But look, at this moment in time, with the market down 1,238 points right now on the Dow Industrials and the NASDAQ down 800 right now, and the market's not even open, futures indicating a very ugly opening, now would be the time for some clarity on extending the tax cuts. So where are you on that?
Well, a lot of people didn't think the House could put the budget instructions together. I do believe that John Thune and the Senate, we're going to get to their budget instructions. And I'm hoping by Mother's Day, we're going to have, that would be the fastest I think we can get there. But we could have a proposal that could be voted on in both chambers. We know there's urgency.
And finally, you have Laura Ingraham bring on Stephen Miller. And Stephen Miller gives his deranged lecture about how really our country was founded on tariffs and we're a tariff nation and we should just ignore the fact that the economies of the world and globe have evolved since World War II. Let's talk about Woodrow Wilson. He goes, play this clip.
But are you concerned that if this market doesn't come back in the next, I don't know how many months, that you're going to start seeing some of these more establishment Republicans or so-called fiscal conservatives really make life miserable for Donald Trump?
No, I'm not worried about that. I mean, for example, Speaker Mike Johnson, Leader John Thune, they are rock solid behind the president on the reshoring of our industrial supply chains. And if you want to talk about fiscal conservatism, this country, if you read the Constitution, it was founded economically on the idea of import taxes, of levies and duties on foreign imports into the United States. The income tax didn't exist in the 18th century or the 19th century. Woodrow Wilson gave us the income tax, and that's when we shifted from a policy of taxing foreign countries to taxing domestic industry. So President Trump is bringing back the historic platform of the Republican Party and the historic view of our founders that revenues to our treasury should be powered by taxing foreign imports, not taxing domestic industry. This will help us balance the budget. I would also...
Okay, I know I said that was the last one, but I got to show you one more just to show you how ridiculous this is. So then Kayleigh McEnany, her former Trump press secretary, is a Fox host, and she goes, look, I don't think that these tariffs are really going to stay. I just, this is just a bluff. Play this clip.
So Kayleigh, you had some things to say about this.
Yes. So you heard the White House there saying, this is not part of a negotiation. This is here to stay. I firmly believe that is posturing. This is the great deal maker, the great negotiator. And he's someone who understands how to get to a good end result. And with that in mind, you set the posture that this isn't going away. These are here to stay. You've had 70 years to negotiate. That's what I think this is. The $6 trillion question, as Politico put it, is what's next. I heard Scott Bessent say, look, we have less to lose than these other countries. If in economic textbooks, we are the deficit country. They are the surplus country. The surplus country has more to lose. What that says to me is he knows these other countries have something to lose. In other words, they're going to be pushed to the negotiating table. Commerce Secretary Carlos Gutierrez for the Bush administration said, I would assume that these will not be in place in a month, 2 months, definitely not the back half of the year. Yeah. I'm in the camp. It's a big negotiation. So is this a negotiation is my first question. Number two, we have no doubt it's historic. They went big. Stephen Miller said this is the biggest reset of global trade relations in the last 100 years. He said it's the greatest reshoring of American manufacturing in 100 years. I think it's more like 131 years, because when the economic analysts look at it, these tariffs are bigger than Smoot-Hawley from the 1930s. These are enormous. They're historic. They're going to reset the American economy. We'll see what happens, but I would not be surprised if the great negotiator has an end game in mind here.
Well, Kayleigh McEnany, if it's just a bluff, which we've gone through this cycle, every 30 days, there's tariffs on, tariffs off, tariffs on, tariffs off. And then this is basically the nuclear bomb of tariffs. And it's already caused so much uncertainty that the damage has been done. The damage has been